Good evening and welcome to TUTV. I'm Joe McCurdy.
And I'm Hunter Lynn, joining you tonight in this most important week of the year. Joe, do you know what that is?
I do not know. Why is it the most important week of the year?
It's Maybe Week this week.
What is Maybe Week?
Well, it's only the most important celebration
Well,
in
you've already
national
said that.
history.
Oh, okay.
It is the most paramount aspect of Tulsa culture. It is.
Okay, well then I'm not a true Tulsan because I don't know what this week is.
And neither do I.
All right.
Because they haven't advertised.
Then that's the point.
But it is Maybe Week.
Well, good to know. So, about Maybe, right? He's on the name of like everybody on campus.
He and she.
Q World the Worlds.
I've just gotten a report that aliens have taken landing in New Jersey. Hunter, how do you react to this?
Well, Joe, there's only one answer to this urgent and pressing military issue, and that is the immediate use of tactical and strategic nuclear weapons on the state of New Jersey. I don't believe there is any other option at this point. We have also received word that these aliens are violent and are not currently taking prisoners. I believe the death toll has already passed 1,000, and the landing was about 5 minutes ago.
This is devastating news here breaking on TUTV, and as somebody who resides in the Northeast, I will say I'm all a-go for nuking New Jersey. So,
and also Buffalo, New York.
No,
I
not
believe
Buffalo. The wings are too good. But
Buffalo,
as we develop more information on this story, we will get back to you. But first, let's head it over to the news.
Hello, welcome to the news desk. I'm Anderson Bell.
And I'm Hunter Lynn, joining all of you who have not yet been massacred by a violent alien force. We're here to bring you the more mundane news of the week, including the presidency of Donald Trump and also local events. Anderson, take it away.
Absolutely. President Donald Trump has imposed sweeping tariffs on Canada since taking office in January, shaking the relationship between the U.S. and its northern neighbor. Prime Minister Mark Carney announced retaliatory tariffs last week. In a statement released by the newly elected Prime Minister, Carney said that the old U.S.-Canada relationship, quote, is over, end quote, and that Canada must fundamentally reimagine its economy. Carney's statement comes after Trump announced a permanent 25% tariff on Canadian vehicles and auto parts last week. These tariffs join a blanket 25% tariff on Canadian goods and a 25% duty on steel and aluminum. Canada has already levied $42 billion in tariffs on the United States, according to the BBC. Trump's tariffs on Canada could push the U.S.'s second largest trading partner closer to the European Union, according to Reuters. Trump has threatened sanctions on both the EU and Canada if they work to do economic harm to the USA. Carney said in response, quote, I take note of the president's comment. I don't take direction from it, end quote.
The Department of Health and Human Services is losing a quarter of its workforce, or about 20,000 people, according to an announcement made by HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. last Thursday. The reduction includes 10,000 firings and another 10,000 employees who accepted the Trump administration's offer to resign and take early retirement. Major organizations, including the FDA, CDC, and NIH, are slated to lose hundreds of employees. A new agency, the Administration for a Healthy America, will be formed to combat chronic disease. According to Kennedy, the moves serve to, quote, realign the organization with its core mission and our new priorities in reversing the chronic disease epidemic, close quote. Kennedy characterized the reductions as cuts to bureaucratic sprawl. Health researcher Larry Levitt has noted the importance of bureaucratic positions, saying, quote, a lot of HHS employees prevent fraud and abuse. The cuts will save $1.8 billion, about 0.09% of the HHS's $2 trillion budget.
A magnitude 7.7 earthquake struck the country of Myanmar last Friday, injuring thousands and leaving at least 1,600 dead. Myanmar's ruling junta requested foreign assistance from its East Asian neighbors, a rarity for the government which has remained secretive since seizing power in 2021. Humanitarian aid organizations such as the Red Cross and the much-depleted USAID have deployed to the country. The International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies has warned that, quote, secondary crises could emerge if the situation is not stabilized. The monsoon season is just weeks away, and the temperature in the capital, Yangon, routinely approach 100 degrees. The earthquake is one in a series of maladies that has plagued Myanmar in the past 4 years. Since a military coup overthrew Aung San Suu Kyi transitional government in 2021, the country has suffered damage to critical infrastructure, according to Reuters.
Last week, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and National Security Advisor Mike Waltz accidentally shared U.S. war plans with journalist Jeffrey Goldberg using the messaging app Signal. In the days since, Goldberg, who is editor-in-chief of The Atlantic magazine, has released the plans, while Waltz and Hegseth have come under intense scrutiny for their handling of the information. For many members of Congress, including Representative Seth Moulton and Senator Mark Kelly, Hegseth needs to resign over his handling of the war plans, which concern strikes against the Houthi group in Yemen. Quote, "The top guy in the Department of Defense refuses to follow the rules and has zero accountability," according to Moulton, a decorated Marine veteran, who said in an interview that his military contacts were, quote, "disgusted." It remains to be seen whether the blunder will result in firings. According to CBS News, inside sources believe President Trump has not ruled out firing Waltz or another member of his national security team.
Well, lots of stuff going on in the world today, and I think we're getting reports out of New Jersey that the nuclear weapons that have been deployed have not worked against the alien menace. So
that's true.
More on that
All
later.
we seem to have done so far is reduce New Jersey to an even more disastrous pile of smoking radioactive waste than it already was. We're receiving reports from the city of New York that officials are attempting to use pizza to lure the aliens into a false sense of security.
Wow.
We will keep you updated as the situation develops. Until then, I'm Hunter Lynn,
I'm Anderson Bell.
and we'll see you next week, if we're still alive.
Hi, and welcome back to your TUTV weather. I'm Carter Reed. Today's going to be coming to a close around 72 degrees here with some severe weather moving through the area this afternoon, but that's something we're going to look at in a little more detail just in a second here. Tomorrow's going to be heading up into about 76 degrees, so a little bit nicer, but with another chance of some storms moving through in the mid to late afternoon. Later into this week, you can see here we're going to have a decent amount of cooling moving through with the wind after those storms. That low pressure system going to be bringing in cold air from up north, so that's something we can expect temperatures to drop down into the mid to lower 50s for the rest of this week. That will, of course, bring a good amount of rain with it, and that is going to continue until about Sunday. Sunday, we can finally expect to see that sun coming back out here. Temperatures still staying around the mid 50s, so not quite warming all the way back up yet, but things are looking a little bit rainy and stormy for the rest of this week. We're now going to look over at the Storm Prediction Center. We have a convective outlook issued for the rest of the day. This is a level 3 out of 5, so a decent amount of concern here, centered around this area, moving up from South Texas all the way up to North Kansas, almost the Kansas City area. So we can expect a good amount of storms with that. If you see here, we especially centered around Tulsa, we are in that highest risk area. What we can expect with that, high winds, large hail, and any storms that form are likely going to be able to develop a pretty strong mesocyclone. So what that's going to mean is we will likely see several long-track tornadoes this afternoon. So nothing to be too scared about, but you just need to be aware and know where to go if those do pick up. Looking ahead now, this is going to be our tornado percentage map for that same outlook. So we see it's a 10% hatched risk centered around Tulsa there. What that means is we can expect stronger tornadoes to form, which is that hatched risk. Keep in mind that's 10% within any 25-mile radius, and this is multiple hundreds of square miles here, so that is a high confidence that they've put out. Now what we're going to do is look at something a little bit more complicated. This is what's known as a model sounding. Over here on the right we have our hodograph, here we have our skew T-track. What we're seeing here is a little bit concerning for tornado potential. Over here on the hodograph, you can see in the lower levels we have a sharp curve there with a decent amount of area under that. That means we're expecting strong shear in the lower levels of the atmosphere, something that can easily turn into vertical rotation within the updraft, causing tornadogenesis. Over here on the left side, we see a very wide cape profile. As those two lines split up and come back together, the area in between those is where we're getting our convective available potential energy, and that is growing quite highly throughout the day. Normally you need something about 2,000 joules per kilogram for that. We are now reaching past about 3,500 joules per kilogram on these latest model runs. So definitely something to be afraid of. We also have convective inhibition dropping to almost -60, so any storms that form are going to have no problem rising quite quickly here. So if we look over here, we can see the expected storm type. If you notice in that little box, you see purple letters, PDS tornado. That means particularly dangerous situation. That's something you don't see very often, but when we do see that, it means there is cause for concern. So later tonight, between 8 to 10 p.m., depending on when those storms start up and get moving along that dry line, is when we can expect that to be coming through the area. We have one more detail at the bottom here I would like to point out. This is something that's a bit of a toss-up with its accuracy, but we have something called the significant tornado parameter. Basically what that's doing, this is the HRRR model, high resolution rapid refresh. What it's doing is looking at all of the ingredients for a tornado, right? And putting them together as a composite number. Now that number typically runs on a scale of about 1 to 10. On days like today, however, we can see it breach that upper limit. So currently it's sitting at a 12.0. That is extremely high. The last time we saw numbers that high in this area was the Barnstall EF4 of last year. So definitely something to be aware of, but not something to be scared. You know what's coming, and we all are used to that around here. So that's all I have for today's weather. I'm Carter Reed, and I'll see you next time.
Hello folks, and welcome back. I'm Hunter Lynn, joined today by the Executive Director at the Office for Resilience and Belonging, Dion Lambert. Dion, it's great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here.
So, let's talk a little bit about your office, the office for which you've worked now for about 2 years.
Almost 2 years.
Very recently, changing its name from
Yes.
the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion to its current name.
Yeah.
Walk us through that decision a little bit.
Yeah, so last year when Kelly McLeod-Shingen, who was the Vice President for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, was here, we had a conversation about is DEI still relevant? Do we really still want to be doing DEI? And so there were conversations then about DEI continuing. And then with the timing of everything federally and all of that legislatively, it just got to the point where it was just like, okay, just do away with even the name, just because diversity, equity, and inclusion in and of itself have been very, besides being polarizing, speaking about diversity means one thing, speaking about equity means one thing, speaking about inclusion means another thing. And so we wanted to get to the point of not just speaking about different piecemeal type concepts where people aren't always included in that picture, but actually doing things where we're focusing on the end result. What do we want to accomplish? What do we want to achieve? And that is, it's a college campus. So people are figuring out their identities. They're working on, school and papers and navigating relationships and dealing with frustrations and all of the different things. And so what's needed for that? Resilience is needed for that, to be able to bounce back, to be able to come up with a new plan. And belonging is what we all look for. Belonging is that striving to make sure that we're all included, not only just included, but actually feel like we belong in that space that we're included in. So it's not just a name, it's not just box checking, it's not just spouting off random facts and data, but it is truly taking inventory of the humanity of those with whom we're in community with.
So the name change was to reflect the organization's universal mission.
Actual goals,
and
yeah.
distance it from a polarizing term that might have turned students off to what they were actually trying to do.
Absolutely.
So I imagine you encounter a lot of different issues among students, and
Yeah.
I mean everyone's experience is different, and
Yep.
of course a lot of them will come to this office for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
And so how do you address such a wide range of ideas, of backgrounds, of issues,
Yeah.
and the like?
Again, it's personalized. It's custom to the situation. It's custom to the person. It's custom to what it is that they're seeking, because everybody doesn't seek the same thing. Everybody doesn't have the same needs. And so it would look different if a white LGBTQ person comes into the office needing support and assistance versus, say, a Palestinian refugee or someone like that. So, and our office is a place where we truly do welcome everyone and receive all people. And so we've done things where we've had to mediate between student organizations or between a student organization and administration or in teams. So it really is taking a look at the complexity of different relationships and community, figuring out how to be more effective, how to be better in that, how to be self-aware of the things that we're bringing into situations, as well as how to be mindful of your needs, of someone else's needs who is also in community with me.
It's a pretty large task for what I imagine is a relatively small organization.
Yes.
It seems like a lot to be on your plate.
Yes. And that being the case, in December, I actually sent an invitation. It was definitely informal. It was kind of like a the writings on the wall type, deal, where we didn't know what was going to happen federally, and internally we weren't sure where people fell in supporting the work of belonging and resilience. So I reached out to a number of different staff and faculty across the campus, in different areas, different colleges, different functions, to keep us from being siloed, but to actually collaborate together, to take inventory of what's needed, because I don't have eyes and ears in every area of the campus, but different staff members will, different faculty members will, you will as a student. And so having an opportunity to really engage those different voices to find out what's truly needed helps to give a better viewpoint of what's needed to support the different community members.
Certainly an organization with a varied mission that punches above its weight. Well, thank you very much.
Yes.
That's all the time we've got.
Thank
to
you.
interview, but of course, the Office for Resilience and Belonging located still on Sorority Row, correct?
Yes.
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 And I've been Hunter Lynn.
And I'm Dion Lambert.
Sawadika TUTV, it's Roma, and for the second to last installment of Me in Thailand, some friends and I took a trip to Koh Samet, which is an island on the southeastern part of the Thailand Gulf, and it was an amazing experience, as every Thailand experience is. And this island was distinctive because it had some folklore of an ogre who would manipulate and drown the inhabitants of the island, so just a good welcoming tidbit we got, but nonetheless, the vibes were amazing. The beach was beautiful. We tanned, we chilled, had a great experience, but we're only there for 2 days because we had school the upcoming week. So we went back on our travel bus and went to Bangkok, did school for another week. But the following weekend, we had a trip with CIS abroad to Koh Chang, which is an island even more southern on the eastern part of Thailand. And apologies for all the vertical footage in this video, but this is us on a ferry to the island Koh Chang. It took us about 6 hours to drive from Bangkok to where we docked for the island. And this is me and some CIS students admiring our homestay on the water. This is me jumping in the water as we went snorkeling in this little area. Then about 2 hours later, we went to a small island to rest for about 2 hours. I had this little secluded space to myself. It was beautiful. And in the morning, some friends and I went kayaking at sunrise. This is an amazing, spectacular experience. I can't overhype it enough. And lastly, this is me jumping off of a very tall boat. It doesn't look that tall, but I'm scared of heights. So this experience was a win for me. I will see you guys next week. Peace.
Howdy and welcome back to the desk. I'm Bruce Bigler.
And I'm Hunter Lynn, and we will be bringing you this week's most important entertainment news from around the world and around campus. Bruce, you want to take it away?
I'd love to.
Go ahead.
Tulsa's first Friday Art Crawl is happening this week. On the first Friday of every month, the Tulsa arts community comes together to show off their work and projects to the wider Tulsa community. This classic Tulsan tradition encourages Tulsans to become exposed to the humanities and more involved with the arts. It also supports local artists in displaying and potentially selling their art. Established galleries and museums tend to offer free or reduced admission, making the experience beneficial to artists and patrons alike. This month, the art crawl is open on Friday, April 4th from 6 to 9 p.m. in downtown Tulsa.
In celebration of women's history, the University of Tulsa will be hosting Nerjahan Boulden, a belly dancer and gun violence survivor, for a two-part series. During the first event, entitled Hearing Through Dance, Nerjahan will speak on the history of culture and cultural significance of the dance form. She will also speak about what the dance means to her and her, quote, intentional journey back to the art following her experience of gun violence. All students, staff, faculty, and guests are invited to come to the talk. The event will be hosted on Friday, April 4th from 11:30 to 1:30 in the alcove of the Student Union.
Trouble is still rampant in girly pop nation as Alabama Barker, stepdaughter of Kourtney Kardashian, is fighting with Bad Baby. You may recognize Beatty from the viral meme Catch Me Outside, How About That, that occurred on Dr. Phil 8 years ago. The feud began late last year when Bad Baby accused Alabama Barker of trying to steal her then boyfriend and father of her child while she was receiving treatment for blood cancer. Despite Barker denying the allegations, Bad Baby released her song Miss Whitman last February, which is now making its rounds on TikTok. The song title is in reference to Alabama Whitman, the movie character and prostitute Barker is allegedly named after. The song also samples Carnival by Kanye West, Kim Kardashian's ex-husband.
We learn something new every day. This week is Maybe Week. Join the Residence Hall Association for a week of activities celebrating TU's Lottie Jane and John Maybe Halls. Festivities will culminate with a formal dance, a night at the casino, in the One Oak Club on Friday. On April 2nd from 6 to 7 p.m., the Student Government Association will host the Organization Leaders Council in the alcove of the Student Union. The purpose of the event is to have organization leaders meet one another and learn how to peacefully transfer leadership positions. On April 3rd, students are invited to join Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, one of the 9 historically black sororities and fraternities, for an interest meeting from 6 to 7 p.m. Finally, join JOLT, the Tabletop Games Club, and other student organizations for the first annual multi-club mashup at the historic Campbell Hotel. The event starts at 9 p.m. on Friday and runs until 2 a.m. Saturday. As always, check the UTulsa events calendar for more details and other events.
Well, Hunter, certainly a big week in entertainment for the reason alone that Alabama Barker and Bad Baby are apparently having a fight. I can't say I've ever heard of this controversy before.
Neither have I, but I imagine this is utterly tragic news for the large demographic that is dual fans of Alabama Barker and Bad Baby, as I am cut in half by the camera. Speaking of being cut in half, it seems the aliens have made headway up the Hudson River. It seems that attempts to offer them pizza as a peace offering were derailed when an Italian delegation flew in from Rome, demanding that the New Yorkers substitute their fake and too thin pizza with real artisanal slices. It seems the Italians might be considering switching sides and joining the aliens in their battle for world domination.
Well, that's all the entertainment news we have for you about Alabama Barker and the aliens. Stay tuned for more news next time.
We'll see you next week.
And welcome back. As always, I'm Joe McCurdy, and I'm joined here by Brett Walsh, co-founder and CFO of Kane Clothing Solutions. Brett, with a title like that, you would have to be like a junior or senior, but you're just a sophomore. Tell me a little bit about how you've come to be the co-founder and CFO of this clothing brand.
Yeah, it's really simple actually. So TU, we found a problem that there's hundreds of student organizations on campus, and everybody's kind of gotten their clothing from different pieces and different places around Tulsa. But we wanted to be kind of the central point where everybody can kind of come to us and come to it with a design or event, and we want to be the person that helps distribute that. And so, luckily, at a place like Tulsa, where the school's a little smaller, and I got to know some professors and get some experience, I was able to kind of realize this is a big problem, and luckily we had the resources with me and my buddy Bo McLeod to solve it.
Yeah, no, I feel like as someone who's been here for 4 years, the lack of clothing and good quality clothing has been such a major issue for the Tulsa brand, and if we're going to be able to share this school with everybody, it has to have a good brand. But tell me about what you want from this company, what you're looking for going forward. What growth do you expect out of this company?
Sure. So I think our goal is to be the main provider for TU clothing, hopefully, obviously within the University of Tulsa, but also around our community, because we are in a town where the community is a little smaller, and we're able to have those connections and have those relationships that are so important. And all of it is kind of run through the University of Tulsa, which is super special. So eventually to the point we're providing clothing for, campus security and the athletics department, whatever it may be, that's the end goal. Yeah. So hopefully as we just get off the ground, we publicly launched last week, there's a bright future for us, and I'm really blessed and excited to see where it goes.
Another thing that's, a bright future for you is it's completely student run. Talk about your team, how impactful it has been. Your social media is looking really professional, a lot of great models, a lot of great branding. Talk about the people you have around you.
Yeah, I think what the benefit of us being student run is that we're able to kind of run it our own way and really tap into the college market and be able to realize, hey, this is what college students want, or kind of what the university needs, and being able to get that experience ourselves to wherever we may end up in the real world is really special. And by our creative content team has done a really fantastic job of partnering with people like the Racks and other pop culture vintage shops around the community, and really blessed to have some great models that have volunteered their time to come take pictures on campus. And at Kane Clothing, our Instagram is at Kane Clothing _, and we have a lot of great projects lined up, and it's just a beginning for us.
Yeah. Well, I know that the future for you is bright. And what other projects may you have on the horizon? Give our viewers a little sneak peek to anything that may be dropping soon.
Yeah, I can't get into all of that just yet, but I can talk about we're doing all campus securities clothing. Okay. Jolt, we've had a couple projects for them. Our biggest one that we just released is with the Racks, I've just mentioned before. Yeah. They've got a great shop that's on 15th Street, and they have hundreds and hundreds of options for clothing, and we have a couple of giveaways scheduled that are going to be released on our social platforms for students that they can't get those pieces anywhere else but on our account, which is really super special. And I'm grateful that these organizations and these stores around our community are able to work with us, and we can give them something they need, and they give us something we need. Yeah. And more importantly, covering all of our students.
Oh, 100%. And hopefully maybe we can get TUTV in the mix after some free branding. Some free branding, a little exchange. Capitalism, am I right?
Absolutely.
So, well, Brett, I really appreciate you coming on, and hopefully I'm really excited to see the growth of this business.
Thank you for your time.
The great Tulsa brand really being shown out. So
absolutely. Thank you for your time.
Brett. Yeah, of course.
Yes, man.
Good evening and welcome to the Roundtable. As always, I'm your host, Hunter Lynn, joined today by my two co-hosts.
I'm Anderson Bell.
And I'm Aristotle Orsini.
Gentlemen, let's begin with an update on the housing application process from last week.
Oh boy. Buddy.
They released more housing slots, but that still doesn't mean it's enough.
No, absolutely not. We were supposed to be roommates. We were supposed to get an apartment this year. That didn't happen. Not at all, really, actually.
No, we got two of the last selection times, and by the time we were up, there weren't even suites left in Fisher.
Nope.
There were John Mabee and Hardesty.
Yep.
Wow.
No apartments.
Nothing.
No Fisher suites. Nothing for us.
I'm not going back to the John, and I'm not going to Hardesty either.
Yeah.
So it's tragic, really.
Is it
despite
push you both into fraternity housing, then?
Yeah.
It has.
Despite my full housing scholarship, I am going to have to just let all of that money go and move into fraternity housing that the university doesn't pay for no particular reason.
And again, if we may add as well, even getting a single room in either of these places that you mentioned, which would be the most preferable option, that would also cost not as much as living in the fraternity housing, but it would still cost extra on top of the housing scholarship. It would not be an easy process to do in the slightest.
That's
So,
true. Housing scholarships cover, I believe it is the Tier 1
yes.
housing, which is...
It is a double room with a roommate in the John or in Lottie. I think that might be it.
You get an economy room in Fisher, and you get a 2-bedroom apartment with a roommate.
Yeah.
They are willing to give you a 2-bedroom apartment, 2 bathrooms, 2 bedrooms, living room, kitchen, for the same amount of money that you get 2 people in 1 room at the John.
With shared bathrooms and
With a
showers.
communal bathroom.
And they're more willing to give up an entire apartment for free under Tier 1 housing than they are just to give you a single room in Hardesty or the John. I think that's ridiculous. I think they ought to look at the how the scholarships are working. Again, I'm at this point, I'm kind of looking a gift horse in the mouth at this point. They are giving me a lot of money, but it's not easy to stomach either way.
Fascinating stuff.
Keeping in mind, of course, the Tier 1 housing scholarship is $4,500. If they would give me half of that, I could live in fraternity housing without spending any extra money.
Yep.
But they won't. They will
Less
not
than
give me.
half.
Yeah, they will not give me any portion of that outside of just picking one of their options.
Yeah. So it's tragic stuff. I know there's been talk among IFC and SGA year after year about getting fraternity housing covered by the university. It's just not happening because Nationals owns the houses rather than the university owning them, which is the case with sorority housing and Sigma Nu, which there do come with significant benefits with that. But yeah, the housing situation for many people is still not improved.
One can hope that they will continue the cleanup efforts in Fisher East Suites, which could open up more housing. It seems the best guess as to why they've made that decision is to motivate students that aren't freshmen to live outside of the dorms. But of course, if there aren't enough apartments available, then now you have students moving back into the dorms and for additional money. So it boils down to larger class sizes and insufficient housing. Of course, we do have one of the higher percentages of students living on campus, and it's a small campus, but I think it might be time to consider expanding in some direction.
Not sure which direction, some people are saying that maybe in this direction towards Kendall Hall, replacing this with an apartment complex or a dorm complex. I don't think that's the right move, but there's not a whole lot of space surrounding the university, that's for sure. So
Yeah.
they'll have to work something out.
Maybe we'll get one of those 12-story apartment complexes like they have at OSU.
Or ORU.
Or ORU, that's true. A very fascinating campus design. Folks, that's all the time we have for this week. Join us on our YouTube for a further discussion of the economy, as well as upcoming events during Maybe Week, including the 61st Annual Toilet Bowl game and the Friday Formal Dance. The theme is Casino Night, folks. Hope to see you all there. In the meantime, I've been Hunter Lynn.
I've been Anderson Bell.
And I'm Aristotle Orsini.
We'll see you next week.
And welcome back to Sports. I'm Joe McCurdy.
And I'm Bruce Bigler, here to bring you only the most exciting things going on in the world of sports.
It's spring. It's always exciting. We love it here.
So let's jump right in. The Tulsa men's tennis team hosted the Tulane Green Wave this Sunday as they near the end of the regular season. The Golden Hurricane went into the match with a record of 9 wins and 12 losses. The day began with Tulsa quickly clinching the doubles point. A 6-1 victory by the number 60 ranked duo of Alex Okonkwo and Timothy Seeger, and a 6-2 victory by Luis Miguel and Gus Tatambo gave TU the momentum going into singles play. TU similarly dominated in their singles matches, beginning with 3 consecutive wins. Okonkwo, individually ranked number 102 nationally, secured a victory at the top of the lineup and was quickly followed by Seeger and Miguel at the number 2 and 3 positions. With Miguel's win, TU officially secured their win over Tulane. TU would go on to sweep all but one match, besting the Green Wave 6-1. With this victory, Tulsa improves to 10-12 on the season with only 5 games left before American Conference Championship.
Tulsa women's tennis team hosted the 17-3 UTSA Roadrunners in a much-anticipated Senior Day matchup. TU was looking hot heading into the match, having won 4 of their last 5 dual matches. When doubles play started, TU's 2 senior duos, Anna Martinez and Marina Vasquez, and Maria Bandera and Lily Hutchings, wasted no time in securing the doubles point. Martinez and Vasquez finished their game facts in a 6-1 victory and were followed closely behind by Bandera and Hutchings, who won 6-2, clinching the doubles point for the Golden Hurricane. In singles play, Tulsa's momentum would not be stopped, sweeping the remaining 3 matches. TU would secure the Senior Day win with a score of 5-0. The victory puts the TU at 15-5 on the season and provides a powerful statement following a tough loss to Arizona.
The Tulsa Drillers, the AA affiliate of the Los Angeles Dodgers, will begin their 2025 season this Friday, April 4th. The Drillers will face off in a 3-game series at home with the Northwest Arkansas Naturals, a Texas League rival. The season opener will be accompanied by a number of festivities and promotions, including an opening night parade down Greenwood Avenue. Friday's game will be followed by a fireworks display. Saturday will see the first 2,000 guests receive a free Drillers hoodie, and on Sunday, all kids will eat for free and the first 500 will get a free Drillers baseball cap. Tito's Vodka, an official sponsor of the Drillers, will also be hosting a happy hour special before each game this season. After a disappointing 2024 season with 63 wins and 74 losses and finishing 4th out of 5 in their division, the Drillers will look to improve significantly in 2025. Capturing wins this weekend over the Naturals will be the first step in doing so.
Tulsa women's rowing team competed this Friday in the Sarasota 2K in Bradenton, Florida, competing against 31 schools in one of the largest collegiate competitions in the nation. Through a number of boats competed, TU saw the most success in the second varsity 4 division, piloted by Callie Campbell, Olivia Brett, Abby Tillotson, and Olivia Johnson and Lindsay Fouch. The crew claimed the second best time out of the group of 5, falling short of Jacksonville by 9 seconds and advancing to the grand finals. TU finished 6th out of 6 in the finals and 17 seconds behind the 5th place finisher. Despite the outcome, the outing proved to be a valuable experience for a team trying to gain notoriety and compete at the highest level. The women's team heads to Omaha next to face Creighton in a head-to-head regatta on Saturday, April 12th.
Well, Joe, a pretty hopeful week for sports, I would say.
I would say so, and honestly, if the Torpedo Bats are introduced to, minor league, I'm going to be at every Drillers game there ever was, because not only do I like baseball, but the Arkansas Travelers are my hometown team. I'm going to be at that opening day game. It's going to be so much fun.
It's going to be huge. Got to show up for the free hoodie, the fireworks.
So
there's a lot going on that
And
day.
it's also funny because it says that the rowing team is trying to gain notoriety and recognition, which is kind of ironic because they won the American Conference in the 1V last year. So the fall off has been a little interesting, but nonetheless,
good things to come hopefully in this next meetup. And Tulsa tennis team also doing pretty incredible.
I would say
on
so.
The up and up American Conference Championships.
The funding is starting to fall into place, I would feel.
Yeah.
So, but with that, we will send you back over to the desk. I forgot.
Ladies and gentlemen, do not let your eyes deceive you. While some may claim this to be a desk, it is in fact merely 2 chairs. Welcome back to the host section. I'm Hunter Lynn, joined by Joe McCurdy in our as yet alien-free studio here in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
For now, but we have just made contact that they have taken ground in our great state of Oklahoma. They are intruding on Kevin Wilson's home ground.
They are.
Yeah.
And I, for one, welcome our new assumed overlords.
Yes.
At least, hopefully, they'll be able to run a football program
And I'm
using
sure
advanced
they
technology.
would run our government so much better.
True.
That's
so
not a political statement.
As I'm not the one in the cobalt mines, I welcome our alien friends. Conform.
What is he yapping about?
Conform.
All right. With that,
Conform.
I would love to end the show off. Happy April Fool's Day.
Your demise
We
is
will see
inevitable.
you next time.
Conform. I'm Hunter Lynn. And we'll see you next week.
What the